very fortunate today to have Jackie Banks-Mahlum and Susan Dickson from the Illinois Arts Council. Jackie's the director of programs. Susan is a program director. Look forward to hearing great things about IAC and what programs you have current or maybe upcoming. And with that, Jackie, you should be able to, I think you have a PowerPoint and you're going to show some stuff on your website, and then we'll jump into a Q&A, but should be able to go ahead and share screen.
Fantastic. Yeah, Susan, I'm going to get this going. Susan, you want to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hi, folks. I am Susan Dickson. I'm a program director, and I am the program director specifically for the Eastern region of Illinois, based on our new model, as well as a slice of the Chicago metro area. So, and I am with Jackie.
Hi, everyone. Can you see everyone see the screen okay? Look appropriate.
Yes.
Great.
Great.
And I'm Jackie Banks-Mahlum. I'm director of programs for the Illinois Arts Council. And Susan's going to kick us off, and then I'll cover a few more slides going into it. So,
yeah, thanks. Jackie gets to do the slides that have a lot of text because I'm going to lose my voice. So we appreciate having your time today, and we're going to talk to you a bit about the Illinois Arts Council's fiscal year 26 grant opportunities. Our mission is to build a strong, creative, and connected Illinois through the arts, and we do this by offering support to Illinois' arts sector, advancing arts education, and fostering creativity and working artists. We are a state agency, and we do provide grants for the arts in Illinois. We were established as a state agency in 1965, which means, if you know your math, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. Woohoo! We're governed by a board of 21 citizens who are appointed by the governor, and our budget is allocated by the State of Illinois General Assembly, and we are also supported with additional funds received from the National Endowment for the Arts. The IAC consists of a board, which we also call the council, a staff, and then readers who assist us in the application review process. Recently, the IAC underwent a number of changes to our grants. This began in 2023 with an overall assessment of our granting programs, policies, and procedures. Our new approach to granting includes a simplified application process, a smaller suite of programs, better communication to the field, a regional focused staff, regionally allocated funds. And over the course of the past 12 months, the Illinois Arts Council has launched several new granting programs for organizations, individuals, communities, and educators. And we continue to evaluate these changes and see how we can continue to improve the work that we do.
thank you, Susan. Okay, so I'm going to take over here. I'm going to talk about the grant opportunities that we have coming up. I'm going to kind of cover this in different sections, the first being what we have for organizations and communities, then individuals, and then educators. So right now, we're going to cover organizations and communities, which includes general operating support, youth employment in the arts, and our creative projects grant. So general operating support, this is our flagship grant program that the Arts Council has run for a long time, but it did go through some changes, which I'll talk about in a bit. But this is for 501c3s as well as municipal entities such as libraries, park districts, universities. But it doesn't have to be an arts organization so long as they have ongoing arts programming. And applicants do not request a specific award amount with that. We have an algorithm that is used on it, and it is a compliance-based review. So it's not a competitive grant program. Anyone that is eligible will receive some kind of funding. I will say, like, we can't make any promises as to what the funding will be for this fiscal year with it because we don't have our budget, and we don't know how many applications will be coming in. But to give some context, last year we awarded 938 grants that ranged in size from 2,500 up to 55,000. And there's more on it on the next slide. So these are some of the changes that we rolled out with it when we revamped our grant programs last year. We shifted to a 3-year cycle. So it is still a 1-year grant, but we ask for a full application once every 3 years and simplified applications on those 2 returning years. Another shift, not only to this program, but to all of our grant programs, is previously our staff was overseeing applications based off of discipline. So for example, Susan was overseeing dance and theater, and now we're based on a regional allocation. So as Susan said, she's overseeing what we define as the eastern region of the state, which kind of covers the counties that Courtney was talking about earlier. We've simplified our application and reporting process. We're really trying to make sure we're just collecting the information needed. There's no cash match on our programs, and there's a youth employment in the arts grant, which is tied in with the general operating support grant, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. This is that multi-year cycle that I referenced. Last year when we rolled this out, everyone submitted a full application. This year, everyone's submitting a continuing application. And then starting next year, we're going to alternate between our statewide regions and the Chicago metro region. And that's simply to allow our staff to be able to provide more workshops dedicated to the areas of the state that have the full application year. So Susan, for example, could do more travel in the Eastern region next year, and then the following year focus on Chicago metro. Because all of our program directors are assigned a region of the state and then kind of a slice of the Chicago metro area.
And Jackie, quick question, looking at that, if you'd go back. So the next opportunity, if somebody hasn't already submitted an application for fiscal year 2025 and in that multi-year cycle, then next opportunity for us to be able to submit an application would be fiscal year 27?
No. So new applicants can apply at any time.
At any time, okay.
At any time, they would just join kind of the cycle for their region when they do apply. An FY26 application is currently open. So that's what I'll talk about, I think, on the next slide. The deadline for that is March 19th. So if you've got an organization or municipality with that ongoing arts programming, we'd love to work with them and get them in the this round.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, here we go. FY26 is open now. That deadline's coming up next month. And you'll see we have an online grant. Our online grant portal is based in Salesforce. So you kind of, if we interchange like grant portal with Salesforce, that's what we're referring to. It's just the means of accepting our applications, doing our reports, accepting grant agreements, all goes through that Salesforce system. But you'll see 2 applications in there. One is for those new applicants, and then one is for returning applicants who did get funding in FY25 because they do have a more simplified application that they're going to go into. The URL that's up on the screen right now is for webinars and drop-ins. We release a pre-recorded webinar with all of our grant programs so that constituents have that available right up front to watch and kind of walk them through the process. There's a live demonstration of Salesforce, and we get into all of the supporting documents that are requested with an application. And that while we host live is drop-ins. So that's just an hour with our program staff. We don't come with an agenda. We ask that people come with questions, and we're just available for an hour to chat with folks about the grants. And so we do 5 of those for general operating support. We just had one last Monday, so we'll have another one. I think I'd have to check the schedule, but that URL has the schedule of when our next one is. So, all right. And then that other application that I talked about was youth employment in the arts. So this is an optional application that's included with the general operating support application. And that's because to receive youth employment, you have to receive GOS funds. GOS is the general operating support. But this supports youth employment opportunities for our grantee organizations. For individuals that are ages 14 to 22, their duties can be artistic or administrative or a combination of those two. And it covers the grant period that the GOS covers. Again, no cash match. This is $4,500 for up to 4 youth employees. If you want to use, propose to put that all on 4,500 into one individual or split it between 4, that's up to you. But I will say that this isn't intended to be ongoing employees, right? We brought in the ages that are eligible for this when we made some updates to the grant program and realized some of your ongoing employees may be in that 14 to 22 age range, but it's really more to support something like a paid internship style of work. And I will add that while the general operating support grant is not competitive, it's that compliance based. This one, we just don't have the funds to put it on that same model. So this one is competitive. So, all right, creative projects. So this is project support and professional development support for organizations, communities, educators, individual artists. It covers the range. If you have a project that you're looking for funding for based in the arts, this is where we would direct you to. If an applicant does receive that general operating support funding, we have to understand how this would be a unique opportunity outside of what we're funding with general operating support so that it's not considered double dipping. But beyond that, we really tried to broaden what would be eligible for this. We previously had very specific project grant support, right? Like it had to be teachers doing residencies at schools or libraries, right? So that can be a project, but that's not required, right? You come to us, tell us what the project is you're interested in doing, and we will see if we can fund it. There's no cash match required. And funds for this program are divided regionally. So that means like Susan has her own bucket of funds for the eastern region of the state. It's not in competition with Chicagoland. It's not in competition with the western region of the state. There is a dedicated eastern pot of funds. And this opens in July 2025. And it's what we call an open deadline grant. So it will stay open until the funds run out. Obviously, the Chicago Metro funds go quicker than our other areas of the state, but I will say, we encourage you to get your applications in early because we don't know how many applications are going to come in, and they can be for anything. When you submit the application, the project has to be at least 8 weeks from the date you submit it. It has to start at least 8 weeks out, but then it can go until August 31st of 2026. So if you have a group that's looking to do a project in the summer of 2026, have them apply for these funds in July of 25, right? So that way they know they get the money, they can plan for it. If that was the case, they'd even have the money in hand before they were getting to the project, which is always nice. So that's some about the timeline there. And again, we can't guarantee the amount because we don't have our budget from the governor yet, or certainly not approved from legislation either. But last year that was up to 12,000. So that's what that was.
And Jackie, just to
Yeah.
clarify, so love to hear if you've got that project that's going to be happening in 2026, go ahead and apply early. Is it the full application or submit a letter as a pre-application or?
No, it's just a full application, but we tried to, we
just to notify and keep in good communication and.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to simplify it, right? So we're really hoping none of our applications are a heavy lift for folks. What we want to understand from this is what the project is, what the budget is, and make sure that if we're going to fund it, it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So we need some kind of communication from your partners, whether it's, I want to go present this performance in a city park. We need to have your proposal come with a letter from the city saying,
to show that it's realistic.
Yeah.
Gonna happen. Yes.
Yeah,
most certainly
exactly.
concur there.
Yeah. So we call that proof of feasibility, right? We need some proof of feasibility that it's going to happen.
Historically, and love that dedicated funds throughout different regions of the state. You get closer towards the end, or if you're over submitted to in the greater Northeast Chicago area, have you pulled funds from other regions, or is that dedicated specific? So no concerns there of
no.
Because I sit there and think if somebody concerned that they're still getting things rolling and trying to materialize something for early 26 and waiting and just the hopes that funds are still available. I mean, most certainly on a first come first served basis, it sounds like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, as long as the compliance is met, they'll receive the funding. So, but no, we won't move funds from Eastern Region to Chicago. We close it at different times, right? So last year we closed the Chicago Metro applications kind of first thing. And then as the other regions of the state closed, we shut them down. So
Thank you.
yeah. Um, anything else on creative projects? Okay, I think we can move on. So next is grants and award opportunities for individual artists, one of which is that creative projects grant we just covered. I'm obviously not going to go over that again, but creative projects goes through all of our opportunities for anyone. So Creative Accelerator, this program provides crucial support to individual artists with a goal of strengthening the creative workforce that comprises a significant portion of Illinois' economic activity. This is in partnership, a sister agency agreement with the Illinois State Lottery. Again, we're not judging one person's work to be better than another person's work. We're looking at it from a compliance-based approach. So a lot of this last year was our first year with it. We had over 1,300 applications come in. And then we worked with the Illinois State Lottery to do a randomized selection of who was going to be awarded. There's no cash match for the program. Again, the funds are divided regionally. So same thing, even though Chicago Metro was the bulk of the applications, we had a dedicated number of draws specific to the Eastern region. And that's a $10,000 award. And the next round for that is going to open at the end of February. So we can get those notices out sooner than we did our last fiscal year when we were rolling the program out. Okay. Educators, our teaching artists, they can apply for creative projects or creative accelerator funds. I will say in that redevelopment of our grant program suite, what we're doing with arts education in schools is still being redeveloped. We're hoping to kind of make some announcements about that this spring. But just kind of check back with us for what's happening with our school funding, because we will have some more there. But I'm going to switch away from the PowerPoint here for a second. I'm probably going to have to stop sharing and then reshare, aren't I? Or will it let me just transfer?
Probably easier to stop
Yeah.
sharing. Oh, there you go.
You see the website? Okay.
Yep.
So I will pass it back to Susan here for a few final slides, but I wanted to call out a couple things on our website. This is our homepage. This is the link to sign up for our newsletter up here. It stays static in that header. And this is where we announce all of our grant programs. We send reminders for the deadlines. We send opportunities out about other grant programs. So if we see something from DCEO that's applicable to our traditional nonprofit arts sector and individual artists, we include that in our blast as well. And then I'm just going to click on the general operating support grant because that one's open right now. You can see we're broken out again by that artists, educators, organizations, opportunities. If you go into general operating support up here, this workshops and webinars button, that takes you to those pre-recorded webinars as well as links for the drop-ins. So our next one is February 25th. And then the other two things I want to call out here, our guidelines, those are really meant to be your go-to as you're going through our applications, right? It's meant to serve as an instruction manual to really walk you through the process. So there's a set of guidelines for new applicants as well as returning applicants where it's going to kind of walk you through that process. And then the last thing I want to call out, which I don't know how applicable it's going to be for this group here, excuse me, but the Find Your Regional Program Director. For everyone here, you would go in and select your county, right? I know that's not the counties we have here, but you apply the filter and then you see that Susan's your program director, whereas I don't know another county here. We'll try that one. Alexander, you would get John. So this is going to tell you who to reach out to if you have any questions based off of what your area is. So those were the couple things I wanted to call out on our website. I'm going to go back to the slideshow now, hopefully here.
There you go.
And yeah, Susan, you want to close us out with the last few slides?
Okay. This slide is just to note that art educators are eligible to apply for both creative. Did we do this
I'm
one?
on the, yeah, I'm on
Oh,
the
sorry.
regional, I'm on the map slide.
Oh, you're on the map. Sorry.
Yep.
This slide shows the map that program directors are assigned to and our names and email addresses, of course. And Jackie already showed you the URL to the Finder tool on our website. And last, we have time for questions, I guess. And thank you.
And Susan, looking at the map on the previous screen, it looked like
Yeah.
you cover our region here.
I
It
believe
would,
I do,
yep, should cover everybody that's on this call and who will get a copy of the recording sent to them as well.
including those counties that want to secede to Indiana. So
Well, that maybe is a
I
different
love myself
discussion.
a good rebel.
Well,
So
thank you
yeah.
kindly for the educating us, letting us know a little bit about Illinois Arts Council, the history there. And you said 60 years, so this is the 60th year
This
this year.
is the
Correct.
60th anniversary.
Congratulations. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. And and just educating us on the various opportunities and showing us the website. Very incisive presentation there. Kayla, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, so back on the general operating support grant, you had noted that they don't have to be an arts organization, but just be offering arts programming. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Maybe, maybe give us some examples. I mean, I'm thinking like, I know there's various organizations, but when you say art programming, is it like specific for a specific time period, or does it need to be year round? Are there kind of guidelines towards that?
And
I mean,
and that was going to be my question too. Can you give some examples towards what has previously been approved or what you guys are looking for? So sorry.
sure. It's ongoing art programming, right? So I think a go-to example for that would be park districts, right? A lot of park districts run some ongoing arts classes as part of their overall programming. And we do ask that they have, we want to see a minimum of 1 year going into it, and that's for our arts organizations as well as our non-arts organizations, right? So we need to see what 1 year of that arts programming looked like, and for our non-arts organizations, they need to submit a budget that's specific to what that arts programming is, so we can understand what the dollar amount being invested in the arts is. Susan, what else would you add to that? Are there some other examples of ones to include there?
Is it strict on the 1 year wanting to see, or are you willing to work with an entity that has an idea to introduce a new arts program?
I mean, if you want to introduce a new arts program, the Creative Projects Grant is going to be the spot to do that, right? Like, apply there, kickstart your arts program, and then the next year apply for general operating support, showing that you've run this and you're going to continue running it,
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, I guess I think about that creative project grant as like the baby step for a new organization or for an organization that's considering starting some arts programming. That it's a good way to get your feet wet with our process, and it hopefully will be successful, and you'll be able to then apply the next year for general operating support. So
I would like to just make a comment. The Effingham Performance Center has been very fortunate to work with the Illinois Arts Council for several years now. And the work you guys have done to revamp the programs and the application system has been awesome. So thank you so much for that. I would also say if you guys have not signed up to their new newsletter yet, there's so much great information that you guys are sending out regularly. that is a huge help to people in the arts world. So thank you for that. The new website looks great. You guys are doing an awesome job. So thank you for everything.
Hi, Kim. It's
Thank
nice
you,
to
Kim.
see your face and meet you this way.
Yeah, we tried to bring Susan here for a meeting, but unfortunately she was sick at that time too.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no.
We're
They
going to
seem to
get
be
her to
sick a
Effingham.
lot, so
Yeah, we're going to get
um,
you to Effingham to meet some of our artists here. Absolutely.
that's what I would love that. Like I said, April, May, early June would be fabulous.
We would love to host you.
Um, Great. I will follow up.
Any additional questions from the group? And Kayla, that was a great question. Starts off, and Kim, thank you for voicing in there and showing the support. And just it sounds like you guys have made a lot of significant improvements over the years and continue to grow upon your programs. And really love hearing that you are working with organizations here in South Central, Southeastern Illinois.
Yeah, we're trying. I'll say what has helped is to Kim's point is for a good portion of the past recent years, like at least 15 years, we did not have a communications department. So that was able to be added in kind of this revamp, which was allowed for the new website and the regular newsletters, right? So if there's opportunities that you guys, we can't promote events because we have so many grantees. But if there's artist opportunities across the state or grant opportunities, please let us know and we'll get it looped into that newsletter as well.
For the general operating support, and thank you for noting park districts and ongoing art programs. Can you maybe give some additional examples of non-traditional art organizations that you guys have worked with in the past? I think we can most certainly identify art organizations, but just curious to other ones that we might not be thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, so universities are a big one that we work with regularly, right? As long as they're programming, like we're not funding their student work, right? We're funding what the exhibits that they have open to the public, things like that. We have libraries that come in with ongoing arts programming, kind of similar to that vein of park districts. We work with some municipalities that run, again, a concert series that they're running for our smaller municipalities, especially ones that don't have an arts organization in that space to take that place. Like a lot of times they run that summer concert series, right? So that's kind of some of the funding. Susan,
We
any
have
other
some
things?
social service agencies that come through that do arts programming for their clientele or their communities.
Yeah.
On an ongoing basis. And we had worked with, well, I guess, never mind. Never mind. That was another government agency that we were told we couldn't fund anymore. Never mind.
Oh no.
Yeah. But most, social service agencies come to mind. A lot of those will come through. And a lot of, and I don't know how many organizations like this you have in your region, but we have a lot of ethnic organizations that, cater to a particular, community, and they do a lot. I mean, in terms of social service and health services, but then they also want to maintain their artistic traditions, and so they'll come into us as well.
It'd be a great opportunity to help fund and support something to that nature.
Yeah. I mean, we do have a few churches that come through that do some arts programming as well. So
continuing from the general operating support, and by all means, if anybody has any questions, jump in. I ask a lot of questions. I like talking. So just say, hey, Courtney, my turn. And you can jump in the conversation. For the youth employment in the arts, understandable, noted competitive process, and just from the degree of the funding standpoint to that, ages 14 to 22, up to 4 youth employees, $4,500 grant for artistic or administrative duties. Is it is there a limit to the number of hours they can work? Like, it has to be part-time, 20 hours a week. Is there a limit to
The
the time
requirements
frame?
are
Sorry.
meeting Illinois employment laws, right? So we can't have you paying below minimum wage.
Understood there.
You know, but beyond that, you know, there's some folks that may want someone to come in 5 hours a month, or they want someone for, you know, a specific festival. So all the hours are going to be concentrated in 1 week around that festival, right? You have the flexibility in terms of how and when you use the hours, as long as it's meeting the employment laws.
Awesome. Awesome. Any expectation or requirement of the grant that's ongoing employment after the grant?
No, like I said, that's a little bit more aligned with like a paid internship style expectation. Yeah.
I think great opportunity to jump into that, and especially over the summer, or somebody that is still in school to come in and help to support them. Tremendous. And that's a newer program for you guys?
No, that's been a long-standing program, but we made some changes with it, right? So we brought in the age, you know, it was before, I don't remember the age ranges before, but it was a smaller age range. And then it was on a different cycle. It was a standalone application. So now, because it's GOS is a requirement of it, which that was always the case, but we just included it with that application. And hopefully are giving folks a longer time period where they can use those employees.
It also used to be just for the summer youth. It was called summer youth employment, and now it's. I mean, you could conceivably employ the youth for most of the year, at least for the program, the grant year. So, and that's nice, because that was one of the things that we had heard back from people, was that, you know, I found this great kid, and you know, I want to keep this kid around for longer than the summer. And as we all know, most kids need employment beyond the summer. And so yeah, it seems to have been a really good change that we made. So
well, it gives you the an opportunity to mitigate the risk and bringing on a individual, a youth, if you will, that ages 14 to 22, and test them out and help mitigate
and
that
also
risk there to potential enroll into further employment. And
it helps you know, lessen the burden of having to train people all the time too. So if you can retain them for a little longer.
Well, loved hearing all the programs, and thank you kindly for taking us to the website as well. And that's arts.illinois.gov, arts with an S. We'll include the link when we send out a copy of this recording. Most certainly sign up for the newsletter. Kim, thank you for letting everybody know it's most certainly a value add to be part of that newsletter, and that they do send out pretty regular communications. Pre-recorded webinars are on the website as well, so most certainly jump on there. You said February 25th. Was that a drop-in, or was that a webinar?
Yep, that was a drop-in for general operating support.
So most certainly drop in. What was the time frame on that? Not to put you on the hot spot, if you had it or not. I got February 25th, but I didn't catch the time for it.
1 second. It is February 25th. That one's our evening one. We try to do one in the evenings for our volunteer organizations where they may have their own daytime work commitments. So that's at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
And then after that, we've got March 5th at 2 p.m. and March 13th at noon. So those are our general operating support drop-ins. And then the next grant to open will be Creative Accelerator, and that will have a different set of drop-ins specific to that grant program.
Well, make sure to sign up for the newsletter at arts.illinois.gov and be able to stay up to date. I'm assuming you guys send out notifications of the upcoming drop-ins and the webinars and everything.
Yeah, we send out reminders, and that newsletter goes out generally around the 1st and the 15th of every month.
And a question for you guys, from a funding standpoint and ongoing with the programs, and just recognizing the the current climate that we're in, and we won't get political or anything, but any concerns to funding availability for existing and ongoing programs or future programs?
So I'd say the majority of our funds are state allocated funds, right? So
Yeah.
a thing we're keeping our eye on right now is the budget, state of the state budget from the governor, and looking at where that goes through with legislation up until budget approval. So that's the vast majority of our funds. We do have a little bit over $1 million that comes from the National Endowment for the Arts. So far, that seems to be an agency that is still being protected. But that is, that's a little bit, we'll see what happens there with those funds. But that is a relatively smaller percentage of our grant making dollars compared to what we get from the Illinois General Assembly.
Understood.
Yeah.
Business as usual until told differently,
Exactly.
And,
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we
Exactly.
want, we don't want we have gotten some questions from constituents on if they need to change anything. And our answer is no, like, please keep moving forward, do what you're doing. If we hear otherwise, we will let you know.
Awesome. Any additional questions from the group?
Courtney, did you ever work in radio?
No, I mean, they say I got a face for radio, so.
I think you have a voice for radio.
Well, thank you kindly. Last question, and then we'll conclude today's discussion. And again, much appreciative of you guys coming on and educating us about Illinois Arts Council and the programs you have. Hopefully, an easy one for you. What are you most optimistic for the upcoming year, 2025 year?
Ooh. I think I'm most optimistic about we just did a cycle with these grants. We got 1 year in. So obviously evaluation is an ongoing process, but we're able to do it on the timeline that is a little bit more established, that will allow us some more processing time and get some changes, like immediate changes out of like stuff we tried last year that was immediately like, oh, well, we could do that better.
Yeah.
And just looking forward to continuing to improve them in a longer term way, and really dig in more on getting some good programs out to serve our artists and organizations across the state.
Awesome.
That's me. Susan?
Always stacking, always getting better. Sorry, Susan.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, I'm gonna really go along with more or less what Jackie said. I think that we spent the year prior to this past year just scrambling, trying to get these new programs in a shape that we could release them. And then it was like, oh my goodness, is it going to work?
Yeah.
So we've had this year where it seems to have worked. And yes, we can make improvements, of course. But I also think that just, getting back to where we're out more in the field, working with our constituents, which, in the 17 years I've been at the Arts Council, we've not really done up until this past year. So, it'll be, I mean, for me, anytime there's more face-to-face is a good thing. So, that's what I'm optimistic about, that those one-on-ones or group meetings in the field will in turn help support the Arts Council's public face to the legislature and the greater community. So,
well, we most certainly appreciate you guys advocating on behalf of the arts community and our communities as a whole in the state of Illinois. And so I think we'll conclude today's session. Thank you to Jackie and Susan for educating us, for presenting to us and speaking to us and putting up with all my questions. Very informative presentation. Encourage everybody. Go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for having us. Thanks for asking the questions. We're really excited to continue to grow these opportunities with our partners across the state and make sure people know about our programs, because that was a big thing we heard when we started this work, was folks just didn't know about us, right? And we know there's a lot of good artists and organizations and arts programs across the state that we want to make sure these taxpayer dollars are getting to them. So thank you, Courtney.
Yes, ma'am. And so go to arts.illinois.gov. Sign up for the newsletter, most certainly. Have pre-recorded webinars on there. The next drop-in session is 6 p.m. on the evening of February 25th. Most certainly appreciate you guys talking to us virtually. Susan, look forward to hopefully getting you down here in Effingham for that in-person
I hope
interaction and
so. I hope
communications.
so.
And I think we'll work with Kim and get you down here, and Jackie most certainly invited as
Great.
well. But appreciate you guys coming by and stopping in today and educating us and walking us through the great and wonderful programs that you have available. And wish you much luck for 2025 and hopefully a good showing from South Central and Southeastern Illinois.
Great.
Sounds
Thank you,
great.
Courtney.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy Valentine's
Happy Valentine's Day.
Day.
You beat me to it. And just everybody knows, and if you're watching this recording, you already know, but we'll put it up on the website as well, IllinoisBusinessNavigators.com. See
Great.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.